the lack of overall lockdown from the side of XG to dish in that damage.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? It's exactly what you said. Like, it's if this is going to get to a point in the game where they probably will run out of damage. I think, yeah. So Xinkyu did go for the solar flare facet as well. So they're going to look to try and hit some of these earlier timings, around about the 30-minute mark, to try and take a lot of these towers and be very, very tanky. So yeah, it is all about a lot of these lanes and how this game is going to go. So we'll have to see if Xtreme start nice and fast, because that seems like it's probably going to be the name of the game throughout a lot of these TI matches. Scenarios, it's going to be very fast and it's going to be very aura based. So we'll see who hits these timings. But wonderful thing for us, Snare, is it's back in TI. That means we can do our TI predictions in every single one of these games. Let's go.
All right. So play with the most last hits at 7 minutes. Surely at 7 minutes. Who are we putting?
Like who can kill jungle camps? Probably the quick. If I want to say anything, it's probably K1.
K1 Hector on the DK, yeah, with the breathe fire playing on Radiant side. Yeah. Okay, fine. That sounds fair to me. Highest amount of physical damage done to heroes at game's end. Surely that has to be Ame, right? Even though a lot of it's going to end up being reduced, it's kind of has to be him.
You'd hope so. You'd hope it's going to be Ame.
Player with highest
25.
total net worth. Ooh, who you got for that one?
I think if this game goes well, it's going to have to be for Xtreme at 25 minutes. I think it's going to have to be XXS. I think he's going to have to be like a big baller this game.
Okay, might need to be a big baller right now because there is a small skirmish happening around this bounty rune. They're going to be content to just leave some vision behind and try to debate Xtreme Gaming into de-warding it. Ame holding this high ground, not letting anybody just walk up cavalierly. And it looks like no one's going to fight. It's just going to be a bounty rune trade, perhaps.
They're trying to fight bottom here. They are pretty strong level 1.
Taking a lot of damage here. Divine Llama is also being pressured at the moment. Blood grenades are being dropped, so they're abandoning their tree and protector. Sauce DY, somebody had to get killed, and today it happens to be you.
KJ has the fastest fingers in the West, I think, with that rappel. That was probably one of the fastest rappels I've ever seen on an arrow in my life, because that would have been K1 losing second blood. But luckily enough for Heroic, they got the first opener there onto DY. First kill of the International as well, I believe. I think we started first, but I'm going to coin that anyway, Snare. So unfortunately, DY, first player to die in the road to International in 2024.
Big firsts.
It's all about the firsts around here. That is a nice little start for them, though, to be able to get that opening bit of extra experience, because for the Centaur, it is all about trying to get a lot of these levels into the return early on. So you can just kind of sit down, and then maybe he wants to go for like this double-edged build and just try and push out Ame, because that is one of the weaknesses of the Windrunner, is early on she cannot push people out of lane just because she doesn't have all that kind of damage. And if you get gone on with a lot of this magic damage, then, you know, Heroic can definitely start to push Ame out, and he has to try and find other avenues to farm.
I mean, on the bright side for them, though, they're also putting quite a number onto K1 Hector. As we were saying in the draft, he's not going to enjoy his life playing up against the Bristleback in lane. Already been pushed pretty deep underneath the tower. And this game is... For K1 Hector, he has quite a lot to do as well. He has to be very, very specific about his itemization throughout the game. Make sure that he's both survivable, but that he's represents an actual genuine threat whenever he shows up to the battles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be the problem with K1 this game, is he's going to have to try and go for some of these builds that makes him a little bit tanky, but he also still needs to do a decent amount of damage in and of himself. So we'll see what he wants to pull out. He's got a lot of these heroes behind him that can help him out. They've got a lot of magic damage, so, you know, probably looking towards a pipe for Xtreme, maybe somewhere down the line to try and mitigate some of that. But it's going to be an interesting test in the first, 10-15 minutes, and I really want to see who of the Pos Force is going to make this rotation first. Whether or not it's going to be Xinkyu who's going to come towards his mid lane and try and get that arrow kill onto Analog, try and really get XM towards the top, or whether or not we're going to see Schofield kind of just be a pesky little Skywrath mage and just harass in the middle lane until the Invoker's able to get, a free kill onto XM.
Another thing I just realized, looking at this top lane with KJ on his Omni Knight, because they don't really have the best backline jumpers in the world on the side of Xtreme Gaming, they're really going to struggle to keep a beat on the Omni. And we see this all the time whenever you have like a dedicated healer role, whether it be Omni Knight, Oracle, how much more difficult it is for the opponent to fight if they can't immediately target and kill you. So as this game gets later and later, his positioning is good for KJ. He'll represent a consistent difference maker in these fights because it's just so hard to get to him with this lineup from XG.
Yeah, I think that's maybe one of the reasons why Xtreme didn't want to go for some of these backline heroes, considering the Mars was probably the only one that was left that could reliably kill or at least deal with the Omni Knight. So they just decided for, all right, we have barely that much backline catch for a lot of these other heroes. Let's just try and go for these heroes that will just run into a fight and be able to overwhelm like the Repel and the Guardian Angel and what have you, and be like, okay, you can be sitting in the back as long as you want, but if you're not dealing enough damage to us, we're just going to take the towers and take over the game anyways.
Mid lane, XM versus the Invoker. XM's just doing his thing. Just Viper times. I mean, he's obviously doing well for himself in the CS department, but I can guarantee you, right? I used to play this hero all the time. He's not happy right now. He's looking at Analog's HP and he's like, really, what the hell? Like, this is ridiculous. I should have had this guy chunk through all his regen, be at least a 30% HP by now. But it's Invoker, can't really do that.
Yeah, that's the problem with Invoker, right? Is it's just really one of those heroes right now that just has so much regen and so much sustainability from themselves that the Viper really can't push him out, and especially it being Coswex as well. That it's just all too easy for him to just burn a lot of this mana and kind of just be a problem. I really like what KJ is doing as well. It's gotten to the point in this lane where, unfortunate for Davai Lama, goes down in the bottom lane, but it's gotten to the point now in this lane where I feel like XXS and K1 have kind of just had like that gentlemanly handshake where they're just like, okay, both of us are going to be annoying laners, but neither of us are really going to kill each other unless we completely screw up, so the supports are going to go run around and at least try and hold off mid for Xingqiu throwing some arrows, right?
Some sportsman-like behavior. You love to see it.
Yep.
It's good stuff. Xingqiu right now is occupying himself by just trying to clear through these jungle camps, stack them up for later farming. I like what KJ is doing right now. Just bullying him away, being like, sorry, mates, you're not going to get this triple stack on these Ancients. You're going to have to just farm them the old-fashioned way. And sometimes when you're playing support, you don't necessarily have to be doing something bombastic to have impact on the map. These are the kind of plays that make a difference. Knowing exactly where Xingqiu is at. Now, Invoker can play a bit more safely. You're denying the stacks. K1 is just comfortably farming underneath the tower. Love what I'm seeing so far from him, especially after that early repel that kept K1 alive.
Yeah, I think he just kind of understands the game state that we're in right now. We're in a pretty slow kind of game state, so it's just one of those things where, like, you're an Omni Knight, might as well try and slow down the position for us so you don't fall completely behind. Because, like, what are you supposed to do against a Bristle in this lane, right? Like, XXS is level 5 now, he's got 3 levels in the quills, like... Yes, you're going to throw a hammer of purity at him, but that's basically about it. Maybe they can go towards bottom, where... Go for a little bit of a tower dive here.
Ame, he gets stunned up right now underneath the tower, but there's not enough damage coming in from Heroic as of yet. So he should still be A-okay. Divine Lama's been playing this one fairly aggressively down bottom. It did get him killed the previous time, but I can understand the impulse to try and contain Ame before the mid-game comes around.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you're in a lane now for Heroic that, you know, your top lane is kind of just ended up in a handshake. Middle lane is basically a handshake as well. So you want to try and get something out of your aggressive lane in the Centaur as well as the Sky Mage. But it's just got to the point where they're like, okay, let's just bring all of our resources towards this middle lane. This is probably going to be our easiest avenue to get some of these kills. You know, you just set up with a Tornado and EMP combo, and then Schofield can come in and just throw a little bit of that extra damage with a concussive shot. Maybe they can kill XM and take a bit of this tower, because these towers are going to be oh so important for XXS to keep these ancient stacks alive.
They're playing with the Skywrath Mage in the top lane as well. Schofield, no viable targets as of yet. Dragon Knight form goes in. They're looking for XXX. They stun him up. This is a lot of damage, but this is a Bristleback who just received some healing from the Treant Protector. Not going to be enough to kill him. Did fall to about 30 HP, but he's fine. And here comes Xingqiu looking for vengeance. You touch our boy, we take your lives. Killing off KJ in a very cool fashion there. And none of the lanes ended up suffering too much as a result. They're going back in though. K1 looking to try and bring down XXX. XXX though still kept alive. Analog look for the tornado, missed onto the Bristleback, so he cannot find the kill that he needs. And now he's slowed down by the Nature's Grasp. Here comes Ame out of nowhere, shackles into a tree, hits him with the ultimate. And that is going to be the end of the life of this Invoker. Heroic try to punch them in the nose in the top lane, but instead got their heads taken off as a result.
Yeah, just beautiful execution there from Xtreme, right? Like just the way that they were able to constantly kite around. XXS, the fact that they didn't get the kill on him was really, really bad. You can see Schofield really, really wanted it, but the fact that he had that healing salve just got him above that threshold, and they just weren't able to hit any of those extra spells. And they just overcommitted just a little bit too much for it. And this is kind of the positive of this Wind Ranger, right? She is one of those heroes that can rotate extremely early, and as soon as she does that, she starts getting involved in some of these kills, get that kill on analog, and things start to look a little bit spicy here. So Jinkyu's probably dead.
Yep, analog didn't catch him with all the spells, but did manage to find the urn out on him. Should lead to a quick death. They pop the Stampede even just to make sure that they can beat a hasty retreat. I feel like that one is an emotional kill, right? You don't actually care that much about the gold you gain from it, but you're like, this Jinkyu guy has been annoying us so much, man. We needed to bring him down.
Yeah, they basically all of Xtreme like broke a few ankles in that top fight as well. So that's definitely like, all right, we need to get something back here. We need to try and utilize some of our spells, and it's really kind of non-committal from a lot of the heroes from Heroic as well. Like, yes, they use Stampede, but I mean, it's 8 minutes into the game. Like, when are you really going to use Stampede again? And this kind of alleviates a little bit of that pressure with Jinkyu going down, that they can make this rotation towards top, because they understand that this is the best place for them to get a lot of this damage. They've got a Dragonite as their position one, so they can take the tower nice and fast. And it also unlocks these ancient stacks for them where they've got a lot of this vision around, because they want to make sure that this Bristleback is not just getting out of control, because it will get to the point where in the mid game for Heroic, if you've got 1 or 2 items, how do they really take him down? Like, they don't have a good break, they don't have that good physical damage either, and they're kind of just relying on EMP to burn all his mana and him to be useless.
For me also, I just realized one of the other scarier things, because unfortunately, they do have that push potential with access to this young Dragon Knight when he's in ultimate mode. But unfortunately, the times will come when he's not in ulti mode. And then what? Where's the damage that they have onto the towers, right? And then in the meantime, when he has to wait for that to come back online, living armor, baby! We're going to be pushing this tier 1 tower top for a long, long time, thanks to DY being such a nuisance right now.
Yeah, this is why they need to make sure that they get these towers nice and cleanly, right? And they've gone for the smoke early on with these supports and analog. He's got that urn up and available, 2 charges at the ready, so they want to try and get one of these kills, take these towers nice and early so they can continue this pressure. But Ame, he's got the nose, the eyes, and the ears, and he's able to very easily get away from that gank right now. And this is where things start to get a little awkward for Heroic, right? They've decided to go for this smoke gank. They haven't been able to get anything out of it. Now they're losing their mid tier 1 as well, and they need to try and get this retort back on the tier 1 bottom. Well, this is going to be a massive lead already here for Xtreme. The fact that they're 2k ahead at 10 minutes in is not looking good for Heroic.
For me, the big problem is they have not really been able to involve analog properly. So, not been able to progress out of this mid lane. He's falling further and further behind this Viper. And Invoker is not one of those heroes that plays well from behind, right? It's never been the case. You pick this hero ideally hoping, worst case scenario, you spend some time recovering with the Midas, but this is not what you want when you're playing this Quaswex. He's gonna go bottom now. I think they're hoping to try and pick up somebody's life here. They have access to the Stampede, but there's no real beat on any of these targets. Ame, yet again, knows what's up, taking a twin gate to the top lane. He's gonna be fine.
Yeah, you can just kind of see that, you know, Analog hasn't been on the map for a little while, right? Like, they went towards mid, they're putting a lot of pressure on with the Viper. He's not around there, so they go, okay, Analog's probably trying to gank. What's the best place for them to gank right now? The safe tier 1. You know, it's very, very hard for them to try and get a response to any of these other 2 towers, so they're just going to let this bottom tier 1 go down. And with that, it just means, once again, Analog has wasted quite a lot of time, and this is his 3rd attempt now to try and get something going, and maybe XSS is the target, but look at how much damage K1's taking already. He's got 4 stacks on him.
They're gonna go for it now. There's a Tornado EMP combination. They should have enough to kill off XXX, and thank God it goes the way of Analog as well. Picture perfect situation. The crucial thing for me is that they managed to do so while also defending this tier 1 tower. K1 Hector definitely needs as much space as humanly possible to play with right now.
Oh, XM, I was going to say, like, maybe they might want to pop the Stampede to try and get close enough to take down this Viper, who went very deep after taking that tier 1. But, you know, this is the unfortunate trade-off, right? Like, they defend their safe tier 1, but they lose their mid tier 1. And you're playing up against a Treant Protector, so it is going to be one of those scenarios where he's going to constantly be healing a lot of these towers. And if you're losing out on these mid tier 1s, where you're the one that wants to take control of the enemy Ancients, right? Like, if you're Xtreme, who really on Heroic is going to be taking a lot of those Ancients? Yeah, maybe the Dragonite will with his Cleave, but that's about it. You're not too worried about it. Whereas you look across at Xtreme, oh, it's a Bristleback who's going to be taking these Ancient stacks that Jinkyu's been doing. And look at this. Quad stack already there. XXS is going to get through. He's getting ever so close to his own Aghanim Scepter now. And things are starting to look very, very spooky for Heroic because these item timings are starting to come up, right? Like we're looking towards around about that 15, 16 minute mark where you're going to have Arme. He's got his Maelstrom up and ready now. XM's got his Dragonlance. XXS is going to get very close to his Aghanims. And for Heroic, how are you supposed to stop that?
Yeah. I'm mostly worried about Analog on Heroic. I've been following him for a little bit. And outside of the 2 kills he just got, one down bottom, one on top on XXX, he spent literally 3 minutes hitting 3 creeps. It's really problematic. He's literally gotten all the gold he's gained at the moment, primarily just from these kills. I mean, I guess you kind of have to play this style with this hero. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's what you said as well, right? Like, playing Invoker from behind is not really that great unless, you know, you get a Midas at a decent time. And Analog was, you can see he was in 2 minds for a little while, where he was like, do I go Midas or do I go Spirit Vessel? He's going Spirit Vessel now, but, I mean, you probably would have liked, oh, maybe I just, you know, copped the L a little bit and we just went Midas and we just played a little bit slower and protected our towers. But, you know, fortunately for Analog, this is just not the start that you wanted on this Invoker. He's oh so far behind on every single one of these other core heroes that they need to try and find a way where they're strong that he can start to come back into this game. Because if you wait like another, like say 10 minutes, right? Because that's what K1 wants to do, right? He always wants to sit back and farm. You wait another 10 minutes, Invoker's going to be behind by like another, you know, 1,000, 2,000 gold on his Viper, and things get worse and worse and worse.
14 minutes into this game, we finally do pick up the Spirit Vessel for said Invoker. And we'll see if he wants to link up with any of the crew to go and make something happen on the map. But Xtreme Gaming are very comfortably just farming up on their side right now. They're not even pretending to play aggressively. They're like, I mean, we're perfectly happy with the farm war at the moment. Army is getting close to his BKB. XXX about to finish the Aghanim Scepter. Basically one more camp to go. And when we're not that far away from having the Yasha for XM, you should have it around the same time as the BKB on Arme. Then it's kind of go time, so Heroic need to do something now. And indeed, they smoke up, but sadly, Fluke, where's the vision? Where is the line on the map? They have absolutely no idea where's the most optimal place to go. At the very least, XM will show himself middle, a nice viable target. They will jump on him. Let's see if they can blow him up. He's inside the Mystic Flare right now. Overgrowth will be there. DY trying to render some support. XM is still alive. Living armor, working miracles. He's still gonna die at the tornado. Catches him at the very end. But this might be an expensive kill for Heroic, as they've already lost the Omni Knight. Schofield attempting to run himself towards the west, but he knows his life is forfeit. So it's a 2-for-1 exchange. Yes, XM does die, but an expensive exchange for Heroic, and they can't even pressure towers after this kill.
Yeah, just they took so long to kill the Viper. It felt like they were just slightly disconnected with each other, right? Like you saw Divine Llama, he went in straight away, blink who's Tom, and then it was like that 1.5 second delay between the rest of the follow-up and that initial blink who's Tom, where everyone was able to respond to you for Xtreme. There was a situation where they were maybe thinking about backing out. They're like, oh man, this Viper's a lot tankier than what we actually expected. And then that turnaround came in, and this is the positive thing for Xtreme right now, is they're more than happy for them to sit back and wait for their own item timings, but they've also got really good heroes at responding, right? They've got a Wind Ranger, they've got a Mirana who can just hit this Solar Flare, and then as soon as everybody starts to turn around and get these auto attacks going, things get spooky. So, Heroic, yes, they get the kill there on XM, yes, they get Analog involved, but they're losing Roche for it on the back of it.
Yeah. Never underestimate how tanky a Viper can be with 4 points in Corrosive Skin and sitting underneath the tier 1 tower. Difficult customer. Now though, they get themselves an Aegis in the hands of Arme. Looks like they are content to sacrifice the tier 1 tower mid in exchange for this. And I think the big difference with that previous fight that has changed now. K1 Hector wasn't there with them, right? In the same way. But now he is. He has he decided to go for SNY instead of going for the Manta. What do you think for this game? SNY over Manta? Which do you prefer?
Yeah, I think SMI is probably better. Manta is only really good against the overgrowth, and it's going to be one of those things where Hector's probably going to want to be playing on the front foot and catching out a lot of these other heroes. So I think the Manta probably wasn't going to help him all too much. Whereas the SNY, the only real form of a lot of this slow resist and the status resist that comes out from the Viper. So I definitely like it. I've been seeing Hector specifically on a lot of his carries, just loving SNY, going back to the old school days. But KJ,
It's fine. Still at GA to pop. Hammer of Purity was coming back in a second. He's fine.
He's definitely fine. I think it's also at the point now for Heroic that because K1 is so big that they could probably fight into this Aegis if they wanted to. There still isn't the BKB up now for Arme. They have only just gotten the Aghanim Scepter here on XXS. XM still only just has his Yasha, so they're not at critical mass just yet for Xtreme Gaming, and this Aegis is probably going to provide a little bit of this extra time for them in these team fights. But I think the way that how strong K1 is right now, this is definitely an opportunity for them to try and get a little bit of a snap back against Xtreme, who feel very, very strong. But this Dragon Knight, he's going to pack a punch, man. Like, look at how much damage he does with armor active.
Yeah,
he hits for almost 300 at this point.
It is actually quite nuts.
Yeah.
They're going to go on him right now. Ame realizing very quickly that there's no point. He's like, this man is literally taking 0 damage. All right.
Yeah, that is Arme just testing to see if his whirlwind button works. And it does, so congrats to Arme. Your ulti still works, buddy. But I think the way that it is right now, that was mainly just them trying to test the waters to see how scared Heroic are, right? Like, they just go, okay, how tanky do they feel K1 is? Let's try and poke the bear a little bit and see what their response is going to be. It was just simply a stampede. But yeah, like, what, they're 100 gold away from BKB. I think as soon as you get BKB for K1, you just try and go. You try and catch some of these heroes out, because XXS, Arme, as well as XM, they're all going to be pretty confident to try and play a little bit split on the map, right? Because they're like, oh, they don't want to fight into us. It's an Aegis. Like, everybody else is super far ahead. But I think K1 can bridge that gap. So I really would like to see an aggressive move here from Heroic. They just go together with even just the Centaur and K1. I think those two together can catch out almost any of these heroes and take them down and at least get a kill on the map.
Bro, as this DK gets stronger and stronger, Omni Knight is building into a Solar Crest right now. Eventually, he's also going to have that insane 15 talent. If you get Shine put on you plus Repel and your BKB, that's the DK. Like, what can they even do on the side of Xtreme Gaming, man?
That's the question, is like, how do you deal with DK when he has all these buffs on him? Like, that's kind of the thing that Heroic are kind of just banking on right now, is that, yes, they can't really deal with the Bristleback right now because he is also very scary, but their Dragonite, I think, does just more damage right now. More damage quickly, because, you know, XXS kind of relies on these fights going a little bit longer, him to build up a lot of his Q stacks. He wants to turn around with his Ag Scepter, you know, he wants to start just throwing out these tools and what have you, whereas the Dragonite, it's actually got a decent amount of burst, right? You know, Blink, Dragon Form, and a few auto attacks. You can see how hard he hits already. Pops that BKB, and things are going to get very, very spooky very quick for Xtreme. And they're just putting K1 on the front lines and saying, all right, buddy, let's take some towers.
They're just only lasting for another minute at this point. So they're daring them to come and fight. DY will delay proceedings as long as possible, and here come the TPs. Viper coming in, XXX coming in. They get the ultimate out onto K1. The arrow, though, does not connect, so he can still get out of here. And they're still waiting with the Stampede if needed. Tornado went in. They caught XXX. He's been hit with the Mystic Flare. Sunstrike to Fruit. He's almost dead. He eventually does die, but Divine Llama follows him into the grave. Now, though, K1 Hector with the BKB going. They bring down Arme, turn their attention towards DY, burn him down with the Meatball. That's 2 heroes already gone, and K1 Hector still standing strong. More than 50% HP available. Still has the Omni Knight behind him. And it looks like this tier 1 tower, or tier 2 tower, excuse me, is going to be falling just like some of these heroes on XG.
See, this is what I was talking about, right? Like, yeah, you have an Aegis, but it's like, you can't deal with the Dragon Knight at this point. Like, he has all these buffs behind him. He has Repel, he has Guardian Angel, he has Alacrity, he has all the control that comes in from the Invoker and all these other heroes that he can just stand and deliver. And he is just so far ahead, everybody, like, he's 4k ahead of Arme, who's having a pretty good game. Like, it's one of those things where he's just so infinitely far ahead than everybody else that is in the game, that if he just stands there and doesn't get like 100 to 0'd, he's going to do the most damage in that team fight. And that was the hard part there for Xtreme, is they start that fight. Not only did they start that fight where Arme was basically half HP, they started that fight where they tried to go on the Dragonite. Going on the Dragonite is going to be the hard thing to do. You need to try and take everybody else out of these fights and make sure that the Dragon Knight is the last one that you deal with, because he's just going to have every buff thrown on him in the game, and he's not going to get that.
We also got to see in that fight part of the issue from the Xtreme Gaming side, the lack of reliable lockdown. If they had like a stun before that arrow was supposed to connect, and then the arrow hits, and then he's still underneath the tier 2 tower, the fight is potentially different, but he literally just walked. He got hit by Viper Strike and just walks away. He's like, alright, whatever. Now I'm daring you to chase me. And they took that bait, ended up losing the fight. So it really is becoming a problem. I guess they do have the Gleipnir from Ame, but you never want to be expending that as the first salvo of spells in the fight.
And now with the Omni having the shard as well, means that he's just going to get purified for even more of his HP. And it's just going to be this scenario where this Dragon Knight's going to get to the point where he's just going to be able to chunk through everybody. Like, he's already been able to do that. Like, once he gets this MKB, Arme's not going to be able to stand anywhere near him. And they're going to try and... They're probably just going to run out of ideas, right? Like, it's going to get to the point where it's like, okay, we've tried everything. We've thrown everything at the Dragon Knight. That didn't work. We threw everything at everybody else, and the Dragon Knight killed us then. So it's really the plan of attack. And I like that they're trying to get a little bit aggressive now, but again, running into the Dragon Knight.
Hector's the first one found. KJ trying to bail him out of trouble here. There will be a stampede. He's still running. He hasn't actually activated BKB until just now. He was feeling a lot of bravery in that moment. Unfortunately, once he does pop the glowing yellow orb, they have no way to catch up to him. He's just gone, man. That's so sad. 4 heroes come across your carry and he escapes just like that.
Yep, BKB and Repel, very, very good combination. But now BKB is on cooldown. We do have the MKB available for the Dragon Knight, so K1 is in, once again, very strong territory. XSS, though, freshly picked up Bloodstone. So this is where things start to get a little bit spooky, where there's these 3 cores on the side of Xtreme are starting to reach towards some of their critical items.
Vailama gets 2 heroes inside the Hoofstomp. It's Centaur starting off the fight. Well, they've blown up the Treant Protector. Now they're looking towards XXX. He's dishing out a lot of damage with this Bristleback, but it's not going to be enough. K1 Hector brings him down. Ame with his BKB active going for the Whirlwind, but he dies during the Whirlwind. The MKB a little bit too strong from K1, and now XM yet again getting caught in the double stun of the Vailama. He gets killed off, joined in by Shin Q. It's an ultra kill for K1 Hector and a team wipe for Team Heroic.
Oh man, this K1 Dragon Knight, bro, it is just too hard to kill. This is the problem that I said as soon as that MKB came out. It's Ame goes in a whirlwind, and then K1 says, thanks bro for coming within auto attack distance. And that's all he did. He just clicked him. That's all he had to do. It's just getting to the point now where this Dragon Knight, this net worth just never got dealt with. It just never got addressed by Xtreme. They were at a point where they felt pretty comfortable. We felt pretty comfortable with how their game was going. They looked pretty much in the lead, but K1 hasn't been touched. He's 4-0-4. How many creases he killed? Almost 400 at 25 minutes in the game. Like, this guy knows how to farm. And this is the thing when it comes to Heroic, is a lot of their games when they're looking extremely on top is when Analog's the guy who's being in front. But sometimes they just need K1 to be hitting creeps, and that's all that he's done so far. And this is where Heroic really start to feel in their element, where K1 is the guy who is leading the charge, and they're able to just constantly give him these beautiful fights. And it's AK lead now. 25 minutes in here, Snare. Things are starting to get spooky for Xtreme.
He dealt 8,300 damage in that last fight by himself.
Yeah, gross.
And now he's about to pick up a Satanic. Oh gosh, this is a big problem. They were already struggling before, and if I look at their drafts, it's not like they have like Spirit Vessels or any kind of heal reduction available. He's gonna get the full value out of that Satanic every single time. Super, super tanky. And I think we've also reached that point that we were talking about in the draft. They're starting to run out of damage, Fluke. Like, who's actually hurting and bringing these heroes down? XXX is marinating them, but no one's ticking them over into the lethal territory.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue that they had for XSS in that previous fight was the Spirit Vessel just meant that he wasn't able to heal from the Bloodstone. Like, he activated it and he got a lot of damage coming out with his school sprays and turning his back, but with that Spirit Vessel just meant that he wasn't able to heal back up to full. So I think in these next couple of fights, Xtreme really need to find some way of purging the Bristleback. You can see Shinkyu is going towards this Lotus Orb, but that's going to be a whiles away for now. So probably looking at XXS to try and get some way himself.
Speaking of XXX, might be in change. He's so lucky that the Vailama was further back than everybody else. Otherwise, the Vailama just jumps him. I mean, speaking of Divide, look at him. He's got a Lotus Orb of his own. So now they have even more tools to protect this Dragon Knight with in the rare event that you actually stun him while KJ is not around.
Yeah, it's so hard, man. Like, it's really just so hard. It's just got to the point where this Dragon Knight is way too tanky to deal with, even if he is by himself. Elven Tunic now as well, 3.8k HP without the Armor toggled on. Armor toggled on, 4.3. Yeah, that's Valve. Thanks, Valve. It's just one of those classic games where K1's able to hit creeps. Like, how many times have we seen this snare across the entirety of his career, across the entirety of his TIs as well, where it's just, game's not looking that good for K1's team. We turn around, he's hit 400 more creeps than the enemy carry. Okay, he has a 10,000 net worth lead just by himself. Like, this guy is a freak when it comes to hitting creeps and carrying teams.
Yep. This is giving you like flashbacks of K1 Hector PL. Yep. Team is losing, getting run over, but he's just quietly chilling, doing his thing. And now look at the advantage they've gotten. They got the Aegis, they were about to blow up DY, and they grabbed their Wisdom Room as well. Damn, man. They're in your pockets too. That's a bit much. They could kill Analog here. They have vision of him. He doesn't have his team around him, but they're too scared. XG doesn't want to take the chance. They also, yet again, don't have reliable lockdown. Only Shin Q has an arrow, but if that doesn't connect, Invoker's 100% out.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? There's just no way for them to just quickly and reliably jump on somebody, get the catch, and force them back. Did he cancel a TP?
How many TP?
Oh, no. Well, that's a Liner Axe. Analog's cutting him off again. He got vision of him on the high ground. He knows where he is.
He's just shadowing this guy.
You pesky little boy.
He's keeping him on his toes while his team is busy taking down the lane of Rax top. They don't get the full Rax though. Ame will force out a BKB from Analog, but Analog feels kind of comfortable with this. They get a tier 3 tower and a range Rax in exchange for a BKB charge. He'll take that trade.
Yep. Yeah, and it's at the point now where maybe if that TP worked there from Ame, they could have potentially tried to have a go at Heroic, but like, you're not killing the Dragon Knight twice. You're definitely not killing him once. So even if you do go on the backgrounds, like, I'm just trying to think, like, how do they get in the back? Like, this is the problem that you pointed out in the laning phase, right? Like, who's gonna jump in the backline? Like, Viper needs to go in through the front, Bristle needs to go in through the front, maybe Wind Ranger, like if Ame gets like an Ags or something like that, but that's a ways away. Like, it is gonna be so hard for them to try and catch this Omni Knight who just literally just needs to sit back and go, K1, tell me when you're scared. And then he tells him, and then he hits repel, and then they just, I don't know, team fight from there on out. Like, it seems like a pretty straightforward game plan from Heroic here, whereas Xtreme are the ones that need to try and figure out this puzzle to try and keep this game one going, because this was definitely a series at Xtreme. If you look at it on paper, you're looking at this series here, like, yeah, you probably would say this is going to be a very tight series, but, you know, if you're looking towards trying to make a guess, maybe you're leaning towards a 2-0 for Xtreme, but Heroic starting out hot.
I'm just proud of both of us for not falling prey to the trap of it's Xtreme, because we both looked at the drafts and were like, we like you, Xtreme, but I don't know about this one. I also don't know.
All the years of covering Chinese Dota, mate. That's what it is. We've been conditioned at this point.
Scary moments abide because we just picked up an AC for K1 Hector, as well as having reached level 15 for Omni Knight. So now we have the Super Repel available and an AC. Like, at the very least, a lot of the damage has been coming out of this Bristleback with the Cold Spray, but now with the AC being available, I don't know if you tickle him at all. And now here he is on the high ground. Repel on him. Still has his AC, SNY, and 2 minutes left on an Aegis. Good luck, Xtreme Gaming. Let's see how they approach this.
They're going to have to try and force some spells out of these.
Okay, they actually found KJ, but Ame doesn't have enough damage to kill him off. There's going to be an overgrowth from DY. They're isolating K1 from the rest of the team. He still has his Aegis though, and now Stampede does get popped. They're getting out of here. They haven't managed to find any kills just yet. K1 Hector going 1v1 against XXX, who's turning his back towards him, but now some of the damage magically is streaming in from the Invoker and the Skywrath Mage. Forced off away from the Sunstrike. XXX will still live. But that was one of the best case scenarios, Fluke. They found Omni Knight first at the back of the fight. They Gleipnir onto Centaur so he couldn't counter-initiate. They got the full ultimate out with BKB from Ame. XXX stood 1v1 against K1 Hector, and they still killed absolutely nobody.
Yeah, it's the problem with Guardian Angel, right? Like, it's just going to mitigate all of that damage. It means that the Wind Ranger can't get in, deal all that damage. Bristleback can't get in, deal all that damage as well. So, as long as Guardian Angel is up and out, things are going to be very hard for Xtreme to win these fights. And Heroic, I believe even in that last fight, I barely saw Schofield. So you know, if they can't even get into the backlines and take down a small little Skywrath mage, things are looking pretty dicey for Xtreme. Like, that is one positive. This is the Chinese Dota hopium that is starting to creep into my brain right now. They at least proved that they know what they need to do, but Arme, oh no.
Arme gets bursted. And that's unfortunate because he doesn't have his BKB in that moment because he had to pop it in the bottom fight. If he has BKB, he's fine, but they catch him in a moment of weakness. No buyback available either. That's certainly going to be a lane of racks in the top lane, perhaps even more. Xtreme Gaming doing their utmost to fight them back, but a consistent theme of this game, Fluke. Where is the damage? They're just tickling them right now.
You can't touch this Dragon Knight. You can't touch the Centaur. They have too much control. They have too much peel. They have too many ways of resetting the fights as well. Unfortunately for XXS, he just has not been able to be that big scary bristleback that he wanted to be this game. They need to wait for Arme to get in here. There's still 30 seconds left until their carry comes in. They're probably going to lose another tier 3. Depends how frisky Heroic are feeling.
I can't imagine how terrible XXX feels right now. Like, spray after spray after spray, and K1 is gaining HP? What the hell is this, man?
He basically had, 6-7 stacks on the Dragon Knight, and Dragon Knight did not care. The repel, all the status resist as well. It's just too hard for him to try and chunk through this Dragon Knight. He has 40 armor. Like, there's no way that you're making this Dragon Knight feel weak in any of these fights. Even with the break as well, right? Like, usually, in years gone by, the break has been such a massive thing for the Viper to try and deal against this Dragon Knight, but he's just been able to overcome that with so many of these other extra items, and also the repel just means that he doesn't really have to worry about it all too much. He can keep a lot of those debuffs off him with that debuff. Status resist.
Oh boy. It's a 9k gold lead. They're smoking up through the middle because K1 Hector is very, very cavalierly just pushing a lane of racks. Just don't mind me, guys. I'm just chilling, doing my thing. Dude, this is actually highway robbery. How can you do this and then just walk away? There's nothing you can do about it. In fact, they jump in though. DY, look for the overgrowth. Didn't find enough targets though. The tornado caught Arme in the top, so he cannot really help with this fight. But they blew up the Schofield Skywrath Mage. DY will end up falling, and now here comes K1 Hector, wanting to rein in his damage, fighting 1v1 against this Bristleback. He's been shackled up though. This might be their opportunity. This might be the only time when he's falling lower and lower, and they eventually get him. K1 is down. Now, who else is going to be taken along with him? Divine Llama trying to run down XM, but he's run out of mana right now. Starting to run out of HP as XXX just running around him, trying to dish in the cool spray damage. The arrow will miss both of the targets, and I don't think he wants to go up the hill for the full chase. Tornado ensures that the TP out is there for the Centaur. He's going to be cool. I don't think KJ will be as lucky. They were hoping for a Sunstrike kill onto XM at the very least, but it does not emerge. And that fight, we were wondering consistently, Fluke, how do they get in? DY is the answer. He not just blinks, but he evaded the blink on top of him by the Centaur, taking Centaur out the fight, starting things off in the best way possible. Incredible fight from XG.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the damage numbers from the fight recap, right? XSS did 7.2k, XM did 6.1k, Analog did 4.8, Divine Llama did 7.4 and 6.4 from K1. And there still wasn't a team wipe either way. Like, that is 40,000 damage got done in that team fight, and only a grand total of 5 people died. Like, these fights are going to be so long and grindy because everybody is so tanky, but that was such a good start from there from both these two teams, right? You already said that Arme has been able to bait out that Blink Hooster. Another big thing, Analog actually purged off the DD rune that was on Arme. I feel like that probably would have been a completely different scenario if he still had DD throughout that entire fight. So, Heroic, I think they figured out now that, okay, K1 is mortal. We still need to play this game properly and not make sure that we're, giving away a lot of these free fights to Xtreme, who are starting to build up a little bit more of that net worth themselves. They've got themselves an IS Guardian now on the Viper. They've got BKB now on XXS as well as his own AC. So, these heroes, they're starting to bridge that gap between them and K1.
Bro, XXX got 2,000 gold from that kill.
Yeah, because he killed K1, who had like 30k net worth.
Wow.
Dota, don't change.
I love this game. Well, it's a 7k gold lead still for Heroic, but like you said, mortality has been demonstrated. And now instead of just running headlong into the base like they've been doing all this time, they're like, you know what, maybe let's find some pickoffs. They smoke up, gonna head towards the Roshan pit. They know that this is the next port of call. This would be an excellent time to arrive, but this Rosh goes very quickly, Fluke. They're too late. They took too long. They're not gonna get you in time.
Yeah, they won't. There's also a nice little ward in these extra couple of corners for Xtreme Gaming, so if there was going to be a scenario where anybody was going to come close, they were able to get out there, and the smoke is for naught now for Heroic, so they just got caught napping right now. Pants got taken down. To be fair, though, Heroic, they only have a few more racks to go until Mega Creeps are up, so another few more of these slip-ups from Xtreme, things can start to swing back in their favor. But this is what we're expecting from the team of Xtreme now. That these guys coming into this #1 seed in China, the hope for Chinese Dota to win another TI in the past, what was it, 6 years? I think we did the math. TI 6 was the last time they had a TI win. So these guys need to prove that they are here to party, and this is a good way for them to pull back into this game before Heroic close it out.
Yeah. Ame. Man, I really want Ame to win a TI. Like, it's been so close so many times.
Yeah, the king that never was, right?
Yeah. King. I guess if you want to make, you could actually literally make a Chinese super team based off of guys who were supposed to have won TI but didn't. You know, you put in Burning.
That's so depressing to think about, because there's been so many great Chinese players. You're like, yeah, let's make a super team out of all the ones that just didn't win TI. Like,
Yep.
that's so depressing, man.
K1 Hector, one of the few depressing parts about being this farmed is you run out of slots. Now all he has left is the Aghanim Scepter and the Moonshot upgrade. But we are pretty much seeing the max level of what this DK can present into the game. And that's sort of good news for Xtreme Gaming, right? He's a known quantity now, not going to be getting that much stronger. And they're going to smoke into them. They have the Aegis. And unlike in the last fight, I don't think that Heroic want to fight them with this Aegis, but they're going to have to take the fight regardless. As here they come on the high ground, DY. Looking for overgrowth target, doesn't find it just yet. And XXX already falling so low. He ate a Mystic Flare, ate a ton of damage. Gonna be forced to use the Bloodstone with the Bristleback. Gets him up to some decent HP. DY breaks up the fight with the overgrowth. That gives XM a chance with Ame there with the Whirlwind. He's in between three heroes. Look at Ame go. Already killing off the Invoker, taking KJ with him. And now Divine Llama hoping to try and escape this one. Gleipnir will be dropped down. He's gonna get killed off. XXX with the damage. 3 heroes have fallen. Ame finally gets the opportunity with the Whirlwind active to really lay in the damage.
XXS with the fast fingers there to be able to get the BKB off as he gets stunned, so things start to look a little bit better for Xtreme Gaming, and that was just a fight that they needed to take, right? You can just see how this game quickly swings back. K1 died once this game, and this game has completely swung momentum all the way back in the favor of Xtreme. A few more of these Aegis, a few more of these team fights are just starting to come back in their favor, and Ame, that was such a sick way for him to get in towards the backline, right? After picking up that Aghanim Scepter, it is so hard for them to try and deal with this win range. It was so close for losing XM, and you can just see they know that there is no buybacks here for Heroic, and they're going to get it done here, Snare.
Are you kidding me? One last hurrah. Can Schofield do it? No, he cannot. K1, he's in the midst of everybody here. They have dropped the fortification. Ame is there with the damage. They're ignoring him, Fluke. They just want to go for the W. They're going for the jugular, and they'll succeed in doing it. GG, well played is called.
To alleviate a lot of the pressure for your team. The big question mark that I have, though, is kind of how proactive they can be with this Alchemist for Xtreme, which is probably why I'm looking towards like Heroic. Like, they kind of have heroes that naturally can fight pretty early on with a lot of their spells, but you gotta pause for Alchemist. Like, I understand like he's like the idea behind it, right? But you're gonna need to give him some time to get a lot of these Aghanim Scepters out. Like, he's got some really good Ags targets for all of his heroes, so that's a big positive for me, but do you have the time to do that? Like, if Heroic get off to a really, really good start, K1 can start to be a bit of a menace with this Weaver early on. Doom farms insanely fast. And if you give a little bit of that extra time to Schofield, is the trade-off going to be worth it with this sniper? You know, as soon as they get that first Ags, then things start to get a little bit spicy for Heroic. So that's going to be the question mark for me. But I do agree with you. I am leaning a little bit more towards Heroic just because they have that extra bit of natural aggression in their lineup.
Alright, let's do some predictions, Sam. Player with the highest total magic or pure damage done to heroes by 25 minutes. It's either Void Spirit or Puck. I'm gonna go Puck on this one.
Okay, I'm gonna go with XM because I think XM's gonna have a banger game.
Okay. Smoke Gang.
30 seconds to battle.
At
9 to 12?
game's end, though.
At game's end, yeah, we don't know how long. So we have to sort of count how long you think the game is going to be.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be in for a little bit of time. I'm going to go 9 to 12. I think we're going to have a fair, 5 to 8, 5 to 8. I think 5 to 8 is fine.
Yeah, because it all kind of depends. Because like, especially for a lot of the early smokes, usually it's like 1 to 2 kills. Worst case.
Play with
Let's
the
have
first
a
triple
tower
kill. I'm going XM, and then tower time, I'm going 8 minutes.
The battle
Yeah, 8
begins.
to 11. Yeah. All right. Locked in predictions, gamers. We didn't do all too well in that first one, so.
Oh, we got smoke, dude. We only got one.
Yeah, we got K1. I mean, it's like, come on, it's a given. Who's going to hit the most points in 7 minutes? K1 Hector. Like, it's pretty straightforward, you know. So, is what it is. So KJ's also going to be playing this Tusk as well. So Scofiel's going to be picking up the sniper, and I really like the fact that they're probably going to put a lot of pressure on XXS early on. Is Sync? What is happening? Are we in 2012 again, Snare? What are these tri-lane solo lanes? What's going on?
Okay. I think both teams were probably trying to set up for a potential early kill onto the other. Shin-Q has unstable concoction. DY has been disrupted, and they're going down bottom first onto Divine Llama. He could die here. He's in danger. He needs some assistance. Somebody help me! But there's nobody to help. He gets underneath the tier 1 tower. He dies, but K1 Hector gets the first blood first on the other side of the map. Oh my goodness, the damage coming in from the Weaver is gonna outpace the damage that is emerging from this Alchemist. Amazingly done. Alchemist ends up dying regardless. This is an amazing start for the side of Heroic.
What was that? Like, I showed... Oh, that's something I have not seen in a long time. That was hilarious. The fact that you could see that Divine Llama, like, obviously if his team's setting up for like a tri-lane kill on the offlane, like, you're the solo offlaner, you don't want to show yourself, right? Like, that's just kind of just gives away the gag. But he was holding on for as long as he possibly could. Maybe if Armin was just a little bit closer there to get a few more of these auto attacks in, he would have died much quicker. And then Jinku had to deny himself to the tower as well. So things were getting weird, and K1 Hector gets the it's the first blood gold, which is very important for this Weaver, getting himself to that very scary part where this Alchemist and Visage lane seems like a bit of a grief lane in my pubs, but it's not going to be able to do too much if this Weaver gets, you know, this early bracer into an early Wraith ban, right?
Mm-hmm. Another big thing. Oh, it looks like he's actually going to go in Bracer. Bracer Wraith Band, and then he's going to go for the Lincoln Sphere later. I thought this was going to be a certain BKB game from him, given that you're playing into these heroes like the Alchemist, the Void Spirit, the Shadow Fiend, but for now, the option is going to be Lincoln Sphere. I guess he's maybe worried about Shin-Q like stunning him from Fog, so that's a way to get himself out of it. I do think he might need a BKB at some point, man. Playing against Void Spirit without a BKB as Weaver is dangerous stuff.
Yeah, especially like because they have a support Alchemist, right? So like, you know, the Ags is going to be coming out first off for XM. Basically, as soon as Alchemist was able to gift his Ags to people, that was pretty much the first combo, right? Was Void Spirit and Alchemist were the two combos that we were seeing. So you definitely have to be careful of that. Yeah, I guess I mean, it stops you from getting like Blink Yules comboed by the SF, but if you're really worried about that, I think there's probably going to be a few more things that are going to be on your plate. Xingqiu though, oh, he's in a very awkward spot now.
He's in a really strange position. XXX is trying, spamming out the damage as much as he can, but cannot save the life of this young Alchemist. Fortunately, it does threaten K1 enough that K1 has to leave, so I don't think XXX dies here. Both of these heroes are a little bit too low, but nonetheless, another good kill. And that was a kill started by Shin-Q. He's the one that triggered out the unstable concoction. The moment they realized, wait a second, he doesn't have concoction, he literally can do nothing if we just dive him.
Yeah, and he's also a very weak hero early on. The Alchemist 4 armor doesn't really have that much HP. They're going to see if they can try and get something done on KJ, but it's not going to be enough. And I'm really liking this from Heroic. To me, this looks like a team that has completely forgotten that game number 1 happened. They are here to be aggressive. They know that they're very, very strong players. They want to come in. They want to try and outplay and outlane Xtreme Gaming here and really try and make a statement in this game number 2, which is what I really like to see from a team that, yes, they've got a few veterans on their team, but, you know, like one of their leaders, Divine Llama, he hasn't been to a group stages at TI before. So, like, it's going to be very important for them to start off their group stages nice and strong here to try and get that momentum moving forward in the rest of the tournament.
Q triggering out the stun yet again. And, got baited. He's going to get stunned up. Do they have enough in the tank to kill him? They throw out the bugs from K1 Hector. Soul Assumption doing quite a bit, but nonetheless the damage is there. Now XXX needs to be careful for his own life. KJ doing so much work here. Nice little drinking buddies to drag in the Weaver as he locks in the Visage inside the ice shards. Beautifully done. Give somebody a tip, man, because Heroic is playing Dota in game 2.
Yeah, Heroic are actually just outplaying them right now. Like, in every way, shape, or form, they are just outlaning them and outplaying them. I think the biggest positive right now is the fact that XM is having a very strong lane against Analog, but the fact that bottom lane is going so well for them and top is going so well as well, it just puts Heroic in this very strong position where this funky draft from Xtreme is going to be much harder for them to execute because these heroes need to be ahead.
DY looks like he's dead. Divine Llama on the killing spree now. This lane going amazingly. Yes, Ame is getting his CS in, but you were mentioning just how much this Doom can accelerate if he has a good start. Did die early on, but since then, it's been all smooth sailing for the side of Heroic. They're going to be very, very fun this game.
Oh, that was funny. Schofield was supposed to clarity Divine Llama, but he actually just blood grenaded on the ground. Which I thought was funny to watch. Because at first I was like, did he just try blood grenade to kill a creep? Then I was like, no, you wouldn't do that. And then, yeah, I realized. But funny little things, but yeah, exactly what you're saying, right? Like, it's just such a good start here for Heroic, and we already saw what happened to them when they were able to get that little bit of extra time alone for K1 to take over a game like that. And I can only imagine what it's going to be like when the rest of the team has a lot of that net worth as well. And I'm really liking that they have kind of changed the identity for a lot of their players as well, going back to what they are known for. Analog's going to try for a solo kill here on Xin-Q.
He doesn't have that much mana though. I don't know about this one. Xin-Q triggering up the stun. He will self-stun, but he at least reaches the safety of the tier 2 tower first. And it does not seem like Analog has any appetite to chase him all the way. Okay, that was intriguing. Kind of surprised he actually went for that one. I'm pretty sure he likes looking at the HP on that Alchemist. A very low likelihood of that kill actually happening. Down bottom, looking for Divine Llama. XM making his first big rotation of the game, trying to get the kill, and he will succeed in doing so. They bring down Divine Llama, they take down Schofield, and Ame gets himself a double kill. That is what we need out of our Void Spirits, man. That's what this hero is supposed to accomplish in your early game. Top lane,
yeah,
though.
Smart play there by XM.
XX though, I think he's gonna die here. XXX will die. Xin-Q already threw out the stun. Now he's in a precarious position, having to hide underneath the tier 2 tower. They'll let him go because K1 Hector will just steal the Wisdom Rune in exchange.
Are they gonna let him go? I think they want Xin-Q.
They're really going for this one. Underneath the tier 1 tower still. No TPs have been drawn in just yet from XG. But I don't know about this one. Ooh, ice shots just barely doesn't land. They even dragged in the Weaver with the drinking buddies, but he's forced to time-lapse back just to stay alive and secure. He does choose to go again right now. K1 Hector really wants this kill, but it's because Analog is making the wraparound play. They come in, they entrap Xin-Q, they kill him off, and now Analog has access to the Dream Coil once more. XXX is almost certainly going to join him in the grave, and indeed he does. KJ forced to sacrifice himself for the cause, but what a worthwhile cause, involving the Puck and the Weaver and some additional kills here early on.
Yeah, K1 really makes me nervous sometimes, the way that this guy is playing on the edge of this Weaver, but this is what we were expecting from K1 Hector, expecting from this Heroic team as well, just full of confidence, diving underneath towers, just outplaying Xtreme, just really kind of playing on the edge for a lot of their heroes right now. And Analog understanding that there was a rotation from XM, knowing that he should be getting active himself as well, and now he's able to get that kind of counter punch going in towards his top lane. And K1 is off to a absolute flyer. He's not, super far ahead when it comes to the last hits, but the net worth is where it's at, taking that tower too.
On bottom, Schofield, they want to kill him off, give XM yet another kill. Indeed they do. They also get the disruption out onto this Divine Llama. Doom gets blown the hell up. It's going to lead into a tier 1 tower for them. So Xtreme Gaming, although things haven't been necessarily going according to plan, they rally, they come through, they ensure that they still keep feeding this XM Void Spirit and the Army SF as much as humanly possible, even if this Weaver is getting big.
Yeah, that's the big thing for Xtreme is they have a lot of synergy between their heroes, so they can definitely coordinate a lot of these fights going in. Analog, though, is in trouble. He'll be okay.
They actually maybe are gonna going on to XM. He's gonna get himself doomed up. They even dropped the Dream Coil on his ass. He's gonna die for sure. Alrighty. Heroic responding very, very quickly. So it turned out that Analog was actually just baiting by standing that far forward.
Yeah, I thought it was just going to be a situation where, you know, KJ was just going to be able to get Analog out of any trouble that potentially was going to happen. But as soon as that rotation came in from Divine Llama, it was all over Red Rover. And getting the kill there onto XM does open up a little bit of time for them to take down these Tier 1 towers. These Tier 1 towers are going to be oh so important for XG to be able to hold on to, because they can't be losing their jungle. They've got an Alchemist, they've got a Shadow Fiend, they've got a Visage as well. Like, they have a very greedy lineup, and if they lose control of their neutrals, things are going to be very hard for them to try and catch up.
Speaking of the Visage, he's going for this Gleipnir blow that we've been seeing a lot more lately. Is this potentially not a game where they absolutely need some auras of some kind? Or do you go with Gleipnir and then try to recover the auras thereafter?
I mean, they've also put themselves in a problem where, like, a lot of their lockdown is kind of reliant on this Void Spirit, right? Like, they've got Concoction, they've got, you know, a little bit of this Grave Chill slow, but, you know, they do have some issues when it comes to that lockdown. So maybe that's just XXS just trying to alleviate some of that pressure. But I do agree with you. I feel like it is going to be one of those scenarios where I would love to see them get a few of these auras, but it looks like the Lamas is going to go for a little bit more of a greedier route himself. So maybe no auras coming out for Heroic either.
Okay.
Does leave them open for Jinky to get later.
Schofield is super dead. Super dead. And they're chasing for more. They've already expended the stuns though, but they do have the Requiem. Low throwing it down onto Divine Llama. The triple razors will be there. There is no tier 1 tower for safety, but he is still really damn speedy right now. Eventually the stun will emerge. Divine Llama though, he's still going. How tanky is this boy? Doombringer, he's fine. XXX in the mid lane though, he is certainly not fine. He gets killed off, although XM looking for some revenge. Two heroes were caught up right now. Xinkyu looking for the stun onto multiple heroes. Will find it onto both, and XM jumps through with the Astral Step. They've gotten the kill onto King J. Analog though did manage to escape, and now here comes Schofield thinking about throwing the Assassinate onto somebody. It's XM who's going to be the one triggering up that damage. But they're just happy to get the kill onto DY and get Analog in particular out of trouble.
Man, everyone is playing at like such a high level. It's one of those things where, like, you know, we've been watching Dota for like 10, 15 years at this point. It's like you always just forget like what it's like when you watch these top tier players really pushing their heroes to the edge. There was so many moments there where I thought Analog was going to die. I thought there was so many moments where XM was going to die, but everyone was just able to play on that bleeding edge and really be able to get out a lot of those fights. But another big fight win for the side of Heroic, because they got the kill there on a XXS.
Trying to force some pressure onto
coil.
XM. He does have Astral Step as well as Dissimulate, so it's hard to kill. Xinkyu will throw in the Unstable Concoction. King J does eventually get himself taken down. Your 4v5 endeavor, but now XM has committed the Dissimulate, so he's in a little bit of trouble with K1 having shown up. They do eventually blow up Analog. K1 trying to wreak havoc on the backlines, and with the disruption onto XXX, he realizes he has to get the hell out of here. Schofield, the Assassinate, almost killed XXX. Survives on a sliver of HP. And the bleeding edge plays still continue here, Fluke. A fight that almost got XM killed, almost got XXX killed, but instead just leads to Analog dying in tandem with his Tusk.
Just like an Aether Remnant, XM was trying to see if he could find K1 napping, but he caught Analog, and then as soon as Analog gets hit by that Aether Remnant, they instantly turn, they get the Concoction, they get the extra kill there, and a lot of gold now going in the favor of Xtreme Gaming. Started out nice and hot for Heroic, but these last couple of fights are really starting to lean towards the team from China, who are looking to try and make this a 2-0 start to their road to the international group stages. There's a lot of gold they are just farming up right now, and things are starting to feel better now for Xinkyu. He's got himself a Pavis on board, getting close towards that Solar Crest. He's going to be tanky and tanky to try and deal with. And the problem is now with his position for Alchemist, you don't want to doom him. So, like, he's going to get Chemical Rage off, and he's probably going to be pretty A-okay in a lot of these fights. But with the Gleipnir, a lot of this extra damage coming in from Heroic, they have to be careful of not losing any of their members on the periphery, right? Like, if your Alchemist stays alive, then, yeah, that's kind of good. But if you're losing XSS and XM in these fights, things start to look pretty dicey.
Yeah.
Dire are scanning.
They are smoked up right behind here. They want to debate them on the Wisdom Rune. And who are they going to find first? They come across DY. Shin-Q
big
is
fight.
ready for this one, though. Already triggering up the unstable concoction, throwing it back onto the Tusk. Analog has to abandon him immediately because XG is strong with the response. I won't be able to get any immediate further kills, but they're already picking out the tier 1 tower. They want to try and put some aggression out on this lane.
That was a big nope. As soon as KJ saw any of those TPs coming in, everybody else on the side of Heroic just dipped out. They did not want to have a part of that smoke at all, and they're going to try and get this tier 1 tower now. So they have been able to collect that with K1 Hector, who is having a good game once again, but so is Arme. You know, Arme's on one of these heroes like the Shadow Fiend that can flash farm oh so fast, and he's getting to the point now where he's starting to become very scary. He's got the Hurricane Pike. BKB on board. How do they really deal with a Shadow Fiend who's BKB'd? Yeah, you can doom him, but he's also going for one of those builds that just pure right-click, right? Like, he does not really care if he gets doomed. He's still going to stand and deliver, so you have to be very careful about where you're throwing these dooms out because it's mainly going to be towards XM.
Speaking of the
Arme
Shadow
is going
Fiend.
to stand on the high ground.
He's on the high ground here, but he's just gotten doomed up. Ice Shards will be there. They're trying to get him out of trouble, but the Hurricane Pike pushes them only deeper into the triangle. Gleipnir comes out now, and they eventually will be able to bring him down. He's still alive. Finally dead. No. Okay, now he's brought down by Analog, who jumped the backlines. In the meantime, K1 Hector been wreaking havoc on the front part of the fight. He's already lost the Llama and the Puck. They cannot lose all these cores without getting a bit more out of it. DY has some swarm bugs on top of him. K1 Hector stops him again with the Gleipnir. DY has disruption again in 1 second. He will use it onto the Weaver, but that just means that he ends up getting killed off by Schofield. And now Shin-Q, the self-stun, comes in. Hector will definitely make him rue the day he thought he could approach the Weaver. Running on the high ground, but his life is forfeit. A massive fight ends up breaking out in this triangle. Everybody loses 3+ heroes, but the big thing is that K1 lives and Arme does not.
Yeah, Arme just had the kitchen sink thrown at him. They did everything in their powers to try and keep him alive, but with that rotation coming in from the northern side, the Analog was able to get on top of the Shadow Fiend. Unfortunately for Analog, though, he did get blown up by the Death Requiem, so he eventually does lose his own life after that fight, but as you said, K1 Hector still being able to stay alive. A lot of experience in his back pocket, a lot of damage done as well, so this Weaver is getting to the point now where he's got 2 levels in that time lapse, so the cooldown is nice and relatively short, 55 seconds for him, and getting close towards that Lincoln sphere. I think he might be moving in towards the BKB first off with this Mithril Hammer. He does just have a Void Stone, so mainly purely just for a lot of that regen. But the issue that we're starting to see now, Snare, is XXS. He's having not a very good game here on the Visage, and he's going to move back for a Vlad's, where I think this is probably the best place for him to go. Right? Just build into auras, be tanky, be hard to kill. There's going to be a lot of damage from XM as well as Arme, so just try and keep the boys alive, you know?
Yeah, right now he just feels so squishy. Like, he's actually squishier than Shin-Q is. They feel like they have an easier time bringing down the Visage over the Alchemist. And now, speaking of the Alchemist, he's in playing with the Void Spirit, but they couldn't kill Hector. Tusk with the save, and now they've already killed off Shin-Q. Can XM get the hell out of here? He's committed the Astral Step, has disseminated again in 10 seconds, but they don't want to chase on the high ground. Oh man, dude, this Tusk. The fact that he did that without having a Blink Dagger in tow, once he does have Blink Dagger, how do you kill K1 Hector? Like, he is indeed. I think he's realized. That play right there, he's like, yeah, guys, BKB is the way to go. I don't really need the Linkens here. It's not really going to help me against the jump in from the Void Spirit.
Yeah, exactly, especially because XM did rush that Aghanim Scepter himself, so he's got that AoE silence, so... Yeah, I mean, KJ, once again, I mean, this is what I talked about in the draft, right? Like, just seeing these heroes that are much more kind of... I don't want to say the heroes that they had in the previous game weren't in their wheelhouse, but this is definitely just the kind of Dota that I was expecting Heroic to play, right? You know, KJ playing these heroes that he can be quite proactive on. He can really be able to move around the map. Schofield on these mission 4 heroes that have a lot of impact in the game. And they just play fast, right? They're just playing around a lot of their heroes. They're nice little item timings. They're just getting a lot of these kills, so... Fortunately for KJ, he will lose his life down in the bottom lane, but it is all about creating space for the rest of Heroic to keep hitting those creeps.
Ooh, they're going to twin gate to the top lane, take the tier 1 tower, and then potentially angle for the Roshan. I mean, they do have maxed out level 3 presence on the Shadow Fiend. Yeah, I think you Rosh after this, right? Shin-Q has 4 points into Acid Spray. Let's go, boys. Into the pit we go.
It's also going to be hard for them to try and fight in this top side of the map with this tier 1 tower still up in the bottom side. Don't really want to have to push past to go through that twin gate, and with the amount of damage that they can do here for Xtreme, they are getting themselves a nice early Roche once again, so Aegis in the hands of Arme means that these next couple of towers are going to be relatively easy for them to just walk in and try and take. So until the Blink Dagger starts coming out for the Tusk, that's when things are going to start to get spicy for their backlines. But I don't really want to have a Doom and a Puck going in just yet into this Aegis.
Check out Schofield. He's chilling with this Solar Crest. About to buy a Glimmer Cape as well. So Shine plus Glimmer going out onto K1 Hector. With the BKB, and he's actually going to go for the full defensive route. Still queuing up this Lincoln Sphere for himself. That way, there's absolutely no way to like surprise him at all in the game anymore.
Yeah, I think that's the positive thing, right? It just means that he can be super greedy with his BKB. Just have to, just hold it until he has to pop it at that point. So K1 can really just kind of play around these fights and just be a nuisance because, they want to put a lot of emphasis on killing the Weaver because he is quite a lot of their damage. But it's like, if you expend all these spells and even expend a lot of your, your hero positioning and you don't kill him, they can just turn around this fight and then things get really weird for Xtreme. So I like this from K1, understanding that he basically just needs to survive to try and get time lapse off.
Smoke up right now. XM was hoping to try and catch somebody with DY right behind him, but unfortunately all the heroic heroes are spread very far across the map. And this must be so frustrating. Like the way that they're playing right now as 5, whilst the enemy team is just completely split pushing you. And yeah, you're going to get this tier 2 tower in the mid lane, but K1 is still pushing bottom as well. Top is being found by the Puck. The crap tower to lose, but you're still gaining something on the map.
Middle tower has fallen.
That was actually sick from, I don't know who it was. I think it was DY. So they were pinging the tornado that they saw here in the triangle. That the tornado was like active. And they were like, there has to be somebody here. Because they couldn't see the Vile Armor on this ward in the high ground, but they saw the tornado as it was moving across from this little Wild Ring Ripper. And that's why they're making this play here towards the Vile Armor. Unfortunately, the Aether Remnant doesn't hit, but nifty little play there using a little bit of the vision that they have to try and infer about where people are.
I think of all video games that I've played in a really long time, Dota's probably the one that teaches you the most about like inferring information as much as possible.
Using your
mentally
past
taxing
experiences to figure it out. Yeah.
I mean, how many times have you been watching these here? I mean, it happened so many times in game 1, right? That Ahmed felt like he had map hacks. He's telegraphing exactly where the enemy is going to be at any given time. Moving 5-10 seconds ahead of them. So beautiful to watch, honestly.
Yeah, that's why vision is so important in Dota. Having the confirmation of a lot of that information as well. You can have this game sense and stuff, but vision is so important in a lot of these fights. So we're just going to get the Tormentor now. Berserker's Potion is going to be on Team Q, so that's probably like one of the better ones that they wanted to have out. Maybe just a Shard on the Shadow Demon would have been a little bit better for them to have that offensive debuff, but it's not to be this time around. You can just see with the vision that they've got here for Xtreme, they just kind of want to play around the rivers. They just want to make sure they can, kind of dot their I's, cross their T's, take a lot of these tier 2 towers and try and close down the match for Heroic, where they are just playing with a lot of their high mobility heroes. And K1 pushing a lot of these lanes, just playing the fact that he's a Weaver, making it hard for Xtreme to just kind of get a chokehold on this map.
We'll say the Heroic have given them some opportunity, especially for XXX, to start catching back up. They weren't able to reliably hunt him. Now he has the full ad of Vlads building into the Pipe of Insight as well. So the auras will certainly be coming from him. And Army is, my god, Army is strong right now. Chrysalis is actually flying in as we speak. So he has Chrysalis, BKB, Hurricane Pike with Tread's Mask of Madness. It is time to push, baby. Let us hit the high ground. See what kind of trouble we can get ourselves into. Unfortunately for them though, good old Schofield chilling there with the scatter shot. Just able to basically demolish those creep waves instantly. There's no way they can put the damage up.
They are baiting this middle lane here. They want to try and go in on XM.
Okay, they've doomed him up here. Ice shards will not connect. The Shiva's God will be there from the Vile Armor, but they hold him in his tracks. He's not going anywhere. Look at the damage, but Tusk comes in with the snowball forward. They get the punch out onto the SF. In the meantime, K1 Hector pierces the backline, brings down XM. Now hoping to add DY to that list. Not going to be able to do so just yet. So he skirts his way back. Shinkyu, oh no, Shinkyu, will he self-stun again? Yes, he will. Did they see it? Of course they did. Weaver Swarm Bugs. connecting directly on top of him, whilst Analog is hunting down DY, killed him off on the back lines. Now they don't have to worry about the Shadow Demon save. K1 Hector activates his BKB, putting in the damage onto Shin Q. It's not enough just yet. Divine Llama now gets bursted by the rest of this XG lineup. Analog getting himself involved, but when he sees how much Ame is ranking through these heroes, he doesn't want to be involved in this fight anymore. Very crazy engagement, but Heroic end up on the short end of that stick. Because Ame with this SF just a little bit too strong right now.
Yeah, you'd think. Oh, there's only 8 seconds left on this Aegis here. Ame has to be careful against K1.
Thankfully for them, they do have the outpost. The TP comes in. The TP comes in. Visage is there, so I think he'll be fine.
Okay, I was very spooked out. I've seen plenty of these Aegises being like, it's fine, guys. I've got a second life. And then it times out and you die just afterwards, so... Yeah, I mean, Xtreme, I was expecting that to probably go a little bit worse for them, considering that XM basically got taken out of that fight nice and quickly, and then Heroic were doing a really, really good job of just kiting around the Shadow Fiend. They didn't really give him a good opportunity to just stand and throw some of his right clicks out. And Analog was just kind of poking and prodding in the backline, was able to pick up DY as well, just be able to take down that Shadow Demon and really just move through the next couple of items on the checklist. But just not being able to deal with that Shadow Fiend with that extra couple of lives just meant that it was all too hard for Heroic to try and finish it off. And this is exactly what we saw in game number 1 right there, where one very scary position 1 player, players aren't able to take him down reliably. They have to try and get into the backline to finish it off, and they just start getting a lot of these objectives across the map, and Xtreme were able to come back. Can Heroic?
I do think that part of it, I think, is down to K1's build. Looking at how long he survived that fight, but how much less damage he dealt relative to the SF. If you go BKB plus the Lincoln Sphere, then I think your next item has to be like a Daedalus or something. I'm not so sure Manta Style is going to provide the necessary punch that he needs in these fights.
Where is the first Ags going to go? You can just commute to XM. Oh, they want to fight first.
They turn around, they're going on to XM here in the river. XM is the one that started this, and XM is the one that's going to get killed off. XXX had to drop down here, but he's almost certainly going to end up dead himself. Oh no, this was not supposed to happen. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well, that took place.
Yeah, you could just see that, XM was just being a little bit bullish there, and as soon as those smokes popped, they had this ward up on the high ground, and they knew they were in bad trouble, and Ame and DY, they just gapped and said they didn't want to be a part of that. But yeah, I mean, I thought that was going to be a good couple of minutes here for Xtreme to be able to take a stranglehold of this game, but it looks like so far that Heroic, they strike at the right time. They know that there's not those next set of items that have come out just yet. Just before XM gets his BKB is a perfect time for them to try and get these kills.
Okay, one Hector. Okay, he's queued up the Daedalus now, but he's definitely going to be finishing off this Manta Style. Roshan will potentially show himself within 30 seconds. If it does respawn right now, it will be on the Dire side, which will certainly be good news for Heroic. So they want to control the area, make sure that they are ready.
Also, first Ags goes the way of XM here on the Void Spirit. So with the refund of the 4,200 gold, it means that he's able to finish off that BKB and now gets an entire Sunken Yasha as well. So now XM basically has 2 completed items off the back of that.
They feel strong.
Very exciting.
They probably wish that they had the Blink Dagger on Shin-Q, but they don't, unfortunately. Oh, dude. It's actually an immediate Roche. Roche is already back. Oh my gosh. But they don't know. Like, this never happens. You hardly ever go and check for the immediate respawn. And now, K1 Hector. Will he be able to pop any of these smokes? No. It's going to be good old Schofield. Saw his mates. He's going to end up getting picked off. Does not have buyback. And if they head directly towards the pit, XG will be greatly rewarded for the path they took on the smoke.
Analog, he's got plenty of ways to get out of these awkward engagements, so he's just going to try and be pesky and try and burn some more of these great waves. So he's going to blink to the north, and DY will do his duty as the pos 5 and walk in and see if he can spot out Roshan. They do see that the big man is available once again. This is going to be another Roche going the way here of Xtreme. Heroic could contest this, but it looks like they want to try and put the pressure on these tier 3 towers first. K1 will be able to take a tier 3 tower if they give up this.
Is it worthwhile for him? He doesn't really know. He's actually TPing top. They want to try and take the fight instead. But the rest of his crew is not in position. Yeah. He throws in the bugs, but they're gonna arrive just as the Roche has already been taken. I don't think they can take this fight. Analog does have a double damage though, so it could be very tempting. He jumps in onto XXX. The Visage is already blown the hell up. XM trying to hold the backlines as he's looking towards Schofield and Analog, but instead there's gonna be a Doom jumping in directly on his face. Divine Llama misses with the follow-up hookshot, but doesn't need it. They've already killed off this Void Spirit. Ame threw out the Requiem just as he has to watch DY die. Shinkyu, can he TP out? No, he cannot. K1 Hector is there with the Gleipnir. So they might not grab the Aegis, but they definitely take the subsequent fight. 4 heroes dead. Heroic back on top here in game 2.
Yeah, I thought their decision making was just a little bit off there for Heroic, but they committed to the bit, and sometimes that's all it takes in Dota, right? Is just making sure that everybody is wholeheartedly in the same kind of carriage when it comes to committing to a fight like this. And I thought, this is probably not going to be a good time, but you can just see the damage they put in onto XXS. Analog with this DD route, and this is a perfect opportunity for Heroic to continue this fight, because with these spread out fights, it means that their high mobility cores are also hard to try and deal with. It is really only Armor that does a lot of this damage right now.
Remy did his best. XM getting the drag back onto the sniper middle. It's going to be Schofield dying. Remember in the draft we were talking about how annoying support sniper can be?
Yeah.
And then you killed him, then you start smiling and you're like, oh wait. Just a support mate, whatever.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I spent all that time and effort trying to take down a sniper, and that's the problem that they had in that previous fight as well, right? They expended all of these resources to take down some of these other heroes, and it's just K1 and Analog who were just like, okay, sweet, we're just going to keep running around this fight. And you can see that the K1 is still on this train of, I just need to make sure that I can survive for as long as possible. He went into a full Manta as well, so he's got Manta, Lincoln, and BKB to deal with all of this catch.
And he's building Butterfly as well. There's no MKB in tow just yet for Ame. So K1 Hector's idea is, if I just don't die, we win these fights.
I think Ame needs to try and potentially have another repositioning tool. I mean, it's just hard for him right now because he kind of needs a lot of his slots to utilize all of the damage that he has. But I really feel like he, in that previous fight, just had the issue of just not being able to stick close to anybody. And obviously having a team fight that starts not on your terms is never good for Xtreme gaming, especially when XXS is kind of one of the only guys that has a little bit of lockdown for them. Yes, they've got like a concoction and stuff like that, but they need to make sure they can keep these heroes in the spaces that Ame wants to fight in. So that's the next problem to solve here for Xtreme, whereas Heroic, I think they realized after that last team fight how strong they actually are in this full 5v5.
You know, I'm looking at this Visage. It's been a long time since a Visage has felt this squishy to me when I watch it in the game. Yeah. Normally it feels like this unkillable behemoth that you have to deal with, but more often than not, they've been targeting XXX first and actually succeeding in killing him. It's kind of worrying for the later game prospects. But he still has time. Still time to recover, more levels to pick up.
And especially when he has a lot of these auras as well. So taking him down just means those auras are out of the fight. And not only is a full hero, but as I said, the auras. So Heroic doing a really, really good job at just prioritizing the way they want to go. So, I mean, at this point, once this Butterfly comes out, I don't really see K1 being all too scared. I think the biggest thing for me as well is Analog is just building this right-click damage as well. We've seen quite a lot of times where this phase shift puck has just been able to transition into one of those right-click cores. Got the Maelstrom now as well, got the Witchblade, going to go into the Aghanim Scepter to just mean that all of this damage is just going to be thrown through absolutely everybody. And you just have to quote-unquote focus on some of these other heroes. He can kind of just kill them with some of this innate damage that floats around to the park. Oh! He stole it.
So he did. That was crazy. It actually goes the way of K1. And look where K1 is. While they're doing this, he's down bottom. Or down in the top lane, excuse me, pushing out this tower. Tier 3 already at less than half HP. Ah, man. This game must feel so frustrating. You have an Aegis in tow, Fluke. You have a super strong SF. But you can't even kill a Tormentor, let alone start pushing into the high ground.
Yeah, this is the problem that we said with the draft as well, right? We looked at Xtreme, and again, they just don't have that kind of same lockdown that we're expecting out of some of these other teams. You look at Heroic, yes, they've only really got a Tusk, but they've got a Doom. Blink in the War Stomp is just as good as like a Centaur. So it is some of those scenarios where Xtreme are really starting to put some of these drafts forward where we touched on it at the top of the broadcast, right? There's not that much wiggle room, guys. Like, you only have 3 best of 2s to play. in your group stage, and then it's a best of 3 for seeding, and then if you're in the lower bracket, you could just be out of TI. Like that could be your road done, and you need to try and figure things out. And it seems like Xtreme are trying to go for these drafts that don't really have the same kind of lockdown as some of the others.
They're smoked up right now, hoping that somebody from Xtreme will emerge into the mid lane. And oh no, it's XM.
Oh,
It's XM. That's the last person, but he got off the dissimilate. Not gonna get doomed up just yet. Divine Llama forced into popping BKB, having taken a lot of damage so far. He needs to get bailed out of here. K1 Hector providing cover by right-clicking onto XinQ and DY, both of whom are almost already dead. DY goes first, XinQ losing HP, and so is XXX. Look at this Weaver go from K1 Hector. Divine Llama gets dragged back to safety by the drinking buddies. XinQ assassinate, doesn't kill him off. Analog will do the trick instead, but at the same time, Analog is now stuck on the high ground. He gets stunned up and killed. Ame is now on a triple kill. He somehow found a way to just lay out the damage. They were sort of ignoring him in that fight, trying to go for the supports, trying to go for the Visage. Turned out to be a mistake, Fluke. Focus Ame before he can eviscerate your team.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Dota it comes down to sometimes, right? It is just, I think he was like 3 or 4 pixels away from hitting that War Stomp onto XM. If he hits that War Stomp on XM, dooms him, fight's over, right? Like, they're not going to be able to do what they have been able to do in that previous fight, because XM was just able to kind of skirt around the rest of the fight and deal with it that way. And as soon as Ame is able to just kind of stand and do a lot of this damage, things start to get scary, because they didn't want to walk up to the high ground. And once again, they're going to try and end the game here. They still have buybacks, and they've got plenty of ways trying to deal with this, but DJ just goes down. KJ, unfortunately for him, doesn't have the HP.
Doom back in 5 seconds. K1 Hector going in right now, but K1 losing a lot of his HP at the moment. Hasn't yet popped any of his BKBs, because he hasn't. Again, in 5 seconds, the Ancient, they're just going for the throne. There's too much damage. It's the Visage Familiars, it's the right click from the SF, it's the press